Good afternoon. So, the subject that I want to talk about today is that the body is so much more simple than we think it is. And let me give you two examples of something that usually gets made into something bigger and is actually often, not always, but often something much more simple. So, here's one example. Our shoulder girdle. The shoulder girdle is supposed to actually sit on the rib cage. It's supposed to just sit on the rib cage. The shoulder blade has a nice curve to it that sits a curve to our ribs, and the clavicle, the collarbone sits here. So it's a really nice like shoulder pad or epaulet that it sits here. But what happens when for some reason my shoulder girdle, and it can be a few reasons why my shoulder girdle doesn't sit on my rib cage? What will happen is the muscles of the shoulder girdle, there's like 17 of them, there or whatever, is that the muscles will then tighten, okay? So the muscles will tighten to try to support the shoulder girdle with it not sitting correctly on my body. And then you start to have pain patterns, pain in the top of the shoulder, pain down in the humerus area, pain in the lower arm. So that's one example of that something's much more simple, but I'm not saying it's always. I mean, sometimes there's a tear or there's a something, but oftentimes it's something quite simple. The other example I was going to give you was someone who feels like they have a weak bladder or they have to pee frequently. So, some of those issues can be that I actually eat too much sugar because sugar really, really weakens the bladder, makes you have to pee frequently, and gives you this weakness. Another reason why you can have peeing frequently is also, there they go, somebody came in the house, is that besides too much sugar, you can also have it that there's adhesions around the bladder that actually restrict the bladder from expanding. And that is so common. I can't even tell you how common it is to have it where there's adhesions from whatever. Could be an appendix surgery, could be a C-section, or it could be that because the small intestines are above, inflammation in the intestines can create adhesions through the pelvic floor and restrict the bladder from expanding. So it doesn't always have to be a disease process that creates some of these things. Sometimes they're just more simple than you think. All right, look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Have a great afternoon.